Hariom, let us start. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshal, Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिणयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमाबीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नदशकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नगणस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकां ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्तां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्राय दाक्षीं हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करगलितलसन् हेमपद्मां वराङ्गीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुदां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं सकुङ्कुमविलेपनामलिकचुम्बिकस्तूरिकां समन्ददिदेक्षणां ससरजाववाशाङ्कुशाम् अशेषजनमोहिनीं अरुणमाल्यभूषोज्ज्वलां जवाकुसुमवासुरां जपविदौ स्मरेदम्बिकां अरुणां करुणातरङ्गिताक्षीं धृतपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणचापाम् अणिमादिविरावृतां मयूखैः अहमित्येव विभावये महेशी। ॐ पराशक्ति नमः। ॐ पराशक्ति नमः। ॐ पराशक्ति नमः। Hariom, so today we are going from 551 to 570. 551 to 570. ॐ सर्वव्याधिप्रशमन्यै नमः। ॐ सर्वमृत्युनिवारण्यै नमः। ॐ अग्रगण्यायै नमः। ॐ अचिन्त्यरूपायै नमः। ॐ कलिकल्मषनाशिन्यै नमः। ॐ कात्यायन्यै नमः। ॐ कालहन्त्रे नमः। ॐ कमलाक्षनिषेविदायै नमः। ॐ ताम्बूलपूरितमुख्यै नमः। ॐ दाडिमीकुसुमप्रभायै नमः। ॐ मृगाक्ष्यै नमः। ॐ मोहिन्यै नमः। ॐ मुख्यायै नमः। ॐ मृडान्यै नमः। ॐ मित्ररूपिण्यै नमः। ॐ नित्यतृप्तायै नमः। ॐ भक्तनिधये नमः। ॐ नियन्त्रे नमः। ॐ निखिलेश्वर्यै नमः। ॐ मैत्र्यादिवासनालभ्यायै नमः। So the first name is Om Sarvavyadi Prashamanyai Namaha. Om Sarvavyadi Prashamanyai Namaha. When it comes to the actual name, it is Sarvavyadi Prashamani. Sarvavyadi Prashamani. But when it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam, it is Sarvavyadi Prashamanyai Namaha. Sarva Vyadi. Vyadi refers to disease. Sarva means all. Prashamani. Prashamani is the meaning of Prashamani is cures. So the meaning of this name of Lalitha Tripura Sundari Devi is she who removes all diseases and sorrows. So even sorrow is classified as a disease. So In this, when you look at Vyadhi, Vyadhi refers to old age, Vyadhi refers to disease as well. So Devi, what she does is she dispels all physical and mental diseases. Physical and mental diseases. Now, if you remember the three types of problems that can be there, or the tapatrayas. The tapatrayas. What are the tapatrayas? You have adhyatmika, then adi bhautika, and adi daivika. There are three types of the tapatraya, all the three types of sorrows, dukkhas that you can have. One which is adhyatmika. Adhyatmika is something that is self-inflicting because of yourself, that you have arrived in this situation in terms of the sorrow that you are creating. Then Adi Bhaudika. Adi Bhaudika is when others are responsible. Other living beings are responsible for the sorrows that you are being subjected to. And Adi Daivika. Adi Daivika it is not in your hands. It is because of God or a force which is beyond your control. So Adi Daivika, because of Daiva being involved, so therefore it is not in your control. So these are the three ways in which you can be subjected to trouble. So what Devi does is, Devi gets you past these tapatrayas. The tapatrayas are overcome by means of Devi's blessings. Then there is also another aspect of potential issues which you can have is the Bhavaroga. Bhavaroga is the cycle, constant cycle of life, death and attachment. Life, death and attachment. That is also a disease. So because everybody has this disease of attachment where you get attached to people. So which is why as far as Devi is concerned, Devi talks of having an attitude of detached attachment. So attachment is also a potential issue, and Bhavaroga, which is the cycle of life and death. So Devi is Sarva Vyadi Prashamani. She is the person who takes you past this Bhavaroga, past the Tapatrayas, etc. Yeah. 552. Om Sarva Mrityu Nivarinyai Namaha. Om Sarva Mrityu Nivarinyai Namaha. So she who guards her devotees from all kinds of death. It doesn't say death, all kinds of death. Yeah, all kinds of death. She guards people from all kinds of death. So how can death happen? Death can happen from old age. Death can happen from an untimely way also. So untimely abamrityu. So abamrityu can also happen. So Devi protects against any form of death. All forms of death Devi protects, which is why you have things like Devi Kavacham. All those things you can always chant at all times, not just for yourself. That is one case where when the lady of the house chants the Devi Kavacham, the entire family is protected. When you chant the Devi Kavacham, it is not just you, but the entire family is protected. It is an armor to ensure that the entire family is protected against any potential issues. So there is, in fact, you look at the asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. You move from tamas to jyoti, and the last one is mrityorma amridam gamaya, which basically means lead me from death to immortality. So that is what that means. Lead me from death to immortality. It's a very well known prayer. So what it says, what the Shruti says is that one transcends death, and knowing only it. What is it? It refers to the Brahman. Once we know Brahman or understand Brahman, that is the way to transcend death also. You can go past death as well. So if you have the grace from Devi, that is going to help you transcend death. Yeah, so this is what this means. Sarva Mrityu Nivarinyai Namaha. 553. Om Agraganyayai Namaha. Om Agraganyayai Namaha. The name is Agraganya. Agraganya. So Agraganya means, Agra means first or foremost. Agra means first, and Ganya means counted. So she is the first to be counted, or she is considered to be the foremost. So we know that we have Prakriti, we have Purusha. So even if Purusha is that, Purusha refers to Shiva. Prakriti is, she is the cause. She is right at the beginning. If she does not take charge, even Purusha is helpless. So that is why she is right at the first. She is the foremost, or called as the primordial cause. She is the most important cause. And she is supreme amongst all deities. We know how powerful Shakti is. Without Shakti, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, everybody is helpless. So therefore, she is the supreme amongst all devotees and the highest truth that is to be realized. What is the highest truth? That is Brahman. So that is the highest truth, and therefore she is the first and the foremost. So she is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. So that is why she is called as Agraganya. She is number one. Yeah. 554. Achintya Rupayai Namaha. Achintya Rupaya. Achintya means she is beyond comparison. She is of a form beyond the reach of one's thoughts. She is of a form which is beyond the reach of one's thoughts. So, if you look at the mind is made of the trigunas. The mind is generally made of the trigunas. Generally, when the mind is formed, these trigunas are in a state of equilibrium. One of the gunas is not raising, the other gunas is not at a lower level. So, it is a state of equanimity. Now, when one of these actually go up, that is when the nature of the person changes to being either Rajasic, Tamasic, or Sattvic. So that is what happens. Now, when you look at the mind which is made up of these gunas, and Devi is beyond this mind as well. She is somebody who is even beyond, she cannot be conceived in terms of the mind, she cannot be conceived, and therefore she is even beyond the gunas. She is beyond the gunas, she is beyond the mind as well. See, God, the concept of God realization. When you need to realize the presence of God, it is important to understand that this concept is beyond one's senses. So, if you look at the sense perspective and try to experience God, you will not be able to experience the presence of God. When you are fed by the senses, what happens is that the mind has, thoughts come up when the mind is fed by the senses. And Devi, if you really need to experience Devi, she is well beyond the state of these thoughts, beyond the state of these senses as well. That's why she's called as Achintya Rupa. She is beyond comprehension. You cannot comprehend with the normal mind. The normal mind, you will not be able to comprehend Devi or feel the presence of Devi. She's well beyond that. 555. Kaligalmasha Nashinyai Namaha. Kaligalmasha Nashinyai Namaha. Kali is Kali Yuga, is referring to Kali Yuga. Kalmasha refers to the impurities. Nashini, she destroys all the impurities that are seen during the Kali Yuga. So what impurities are being referred to here? She is the slayer of spiritual impurities, all the spiritual muck which is there inside us. Those spiritual impurities are completely cleared by Devi, and she purifies one's mind. She purifies the mind of the practitioner, and she is also the reliever of suffering. When there are people who are suffering, you surrender completely at the feet of Devi. That is the highest form of basically expressing your complete surrender at the feet of Devi, expressing, I'd say, angst or expiation of the sins that you have committed, knowingly or unknowingly. I say that with all consciousness, knowingly or unknowingly. Once you have committed a sin, and you surrender at the feet of Devi, then there is a good chance that you will get moksha from those sins. Now, that does not mean that we go back and commit those sins. So, as far as possible, let us try and keep away from those sins. So, they say that the Brahmanda Purana says that remembrance of the feet of Parashakti, the remembrance of the feet of Parashakti is the highest form of expiation for all the sins committed knowingly or unknowingly. So they say that just as sunrise dispels darkness and water quenches fire, the chanting of Devi's name washes away the multitudes of sins done during the Kali Yuga. So that is what this states. Kali Kalmasha Nashini or Kali Kalmasha Nashinyai Namaha. 556. Om Katyayanyai Namaha. Om Katyayanyai Namaha. The name is Katyayani. Katyayani is the name. So she who is a daughter of a sage. Now the sage, in fact, there are two schools of thought. One school of thought says that the name of that sage is Kata. There is another name of the sage which is called as Katyayana. Katyayana. So Katyayana, what he did was this sage, he did a lot of penance. What was his objective? His objective was that Devi should be born as his daughter, as this sage's daughter. In those days, the sages were grihasthas. So you could be a grihastha and still have a family. Yeah. So this sage wanted Devi as his daughter. See, this also goes back to the thought process. Just think, in those days, sages could be grihasthas. Today, you are having a situation where you are having brahmachari sages who are having trouble. Kali Yuga. They are having brahmachari sages who are in trouble for this case, that case, this case, corruption, this, that, all sorts of things. Yeah, that is the situation today. Yeah, but in those days, you can be a grihastha and still be completely tuned to the Almighty. So that was the situation in those days. So he wanted Devi as his daughter. This sage Katyayana wanted Devi and his daughter. So Devi was pleased and she was born as a daughter to Katyayana. And this person, and when Devi was born to Katyayana, she is known as Katyayani. Yeah. So she who is the daughter of this sage is called Katyayani. And who is Katyayani? Katyayani is Devi herself. It is an avadara of Devi. Now they say that when Katyayani was born, she had the combined energy of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. Because she is Shakti. So she had the combined energy of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma combined into one, and Devi is Shakti. So therefore, you can imagine what sort of power she had. Katyayani Devi, she had unbelievable power. And now there is also there is another aspect as well, which is the geographical aspect, that Katyayani Devi is the deity in the temple at Odhyana. We have covered this before. Odhyana. Odhyana is in Odisha. Odisha, it's a place called Jajpur in Odisha. So, and if you look at the ladies, they wear that the jewel around the waist, that is also called as Odhyanam. If you remember what that is called, it is called as the Odhyanam. That also refers to Odhyana. Yeah. Now, as far as this place, this temple at Odhyana is concerned, that is the sacred place where the navel of Devi is supposed to have fallen. That is why it is also called as Odhyanam, which is around the waist. So therefore, this is that area where the navel of Shakti has supposed to have fallen. Now, if you look at it from a Kundalini perspective, this area, the area where this Odhyana is there, is at the Ajna Chakra. That is the Kundalini significance. It is between the eyebrows, and that is the reason, because that is an area of strength, and that is the reason why ladies are supposed to put that kumkum at that place, at that area of strength. So how many ladies here are wearing kumkum here? Or sticker puttu is there? You have a lot of sticker pottus that are there, or that chand pottu, what do you call it, that color. Some people are without that also. So why do it? Why waste time? So much of time is lost to put that pottu. Yeah. But that is your strength, that area of strength of Shakti. So please don't ignore that area of strength. That is the area where you have maximum strength, in that area between your eyebrows. And this applying of the kumkum, what it does is activates and protects that energy which is out there between your, and it should be a kumkum, not a sticker. If you want to find out whether there are ladies in the house, go into the bathroom. You go into the bathroom, you look at the mirror, you will see a lot of those stickers. It will all be lined up. If it is not there, that is a big challenge. Yeah. If it is not, normally I found it in a lot of houses, it's there stuck on the mirror. Yeah. Those are sticker which is chemicals. Why are you using chemicals? You have this wonderful kumkum. Use that kumkum. That is a great way in which you can actually ensure that area is protected. Yeah. So this is Katyayani, Odhyana, all those references come up. 557. 557 is Om Kalahantre Namaha. Kalahantre Namaha, or Kalahantri. Kalahantri is the name. So Kalahantri, Kala is time. Hantri means destroyer. She is who is the destroyer of time. Devi is Kalatita. Kala Atita. She is beyond time. So for her, destroying time is nothing. Yeah. So she is the one who removes the effects of evil periods in our life. Suppose you go to an astrologer and the astrologer tells you that you are going through a bad time. The best thing you can do is Sampurna Sharanagari at the feet of Parashakti. Take it from me, whatever that is bad will go on its own. Whatever that is bad will go on its own. So she is beyond time, she is beyond space, she removes the fear of death, she grants moksha. She grants moksha and she slays spiritual ignorance. See, there are small incidents that happen in people's lives. Small incidents that happen in people's lives. Now, if you look at an atheistic person, or you look at somebody who is a non-believer, he will say it is destiny, or it is it is luck. Those are the words that are used. As far as a believer is concerned, the believer will attribute that to Devi's divine protection and grace. So this afternoon we had an incident. We were speeding along 611. We were coming along at a breakneck speed along 611, and somewhere just past Sharjah, there was a big loud sound. And the front left tire of our car burst. So this happened on 611. Fortunately or unfortunately, that the car is got what are called as run flat tires, so it did not swerve. It just we heard the sound, and the indicator came up that the front left tire, the pressure is 0. So we pulled to the side and we just parked the car in the side. So we have to move the car. We have to bring the car back to we are approximately around 40 kilometers away from home. So we had to bring the car back home. So we were wondering what to do. I called this dial a tire to try and figure out what needs to be done. I called just that dial a tire. Yeah. But within a matter of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, probably not more than that, there was this recovery truck that came and parked in front of us. The recovery truck came and parked I did not call for a recovery. The recovery truck came and parked in front of us. The guy said, "Aapko kahan kya hua?" I said, "Tire kharab ho gaya." He said, "Chalo, nikal denge. We will take you to your tire repair place." And we did not have to wait. In fact, we made a big joke of the whole thing, because there is a movie scene where this man has a problem moving his car, and then he gets on top of a recovery truck and he's driving the car. That is Jagadi in one of the movies called Kochi Raja. So we took a video, my wife and I sitting inside the car, sitting on top of a recovery truck, and said, "This is Kochi Raja, driving the car." So the whole thing became a bit of a scene of, scene from a movie. And the way I look at it, it was that Devi came to our rescue. Now, that is the way I look at it. The what is that? Somebody else will turn around and say, it was luck. Maybe that guy was passing by, he stopped. Maybe an atheist will say that something else. As far as I am concerned, it was Devi's way of saying, you have to go through this broken tire. You have to go through this. It's the first time in my life, in 32 years of living in the Gulf, that I'm having a tire explosion. 32 years, I've never had a tire explosion. First time that a tire explosion has happened. First time I'm sitting in a car on top of a recovery. So all these things happened. It was a lot of fun, honestly. So, Kalahantri. Kamalaksha Nishevidaye Namaha. Kamalaksha Nishevidaye Namaha. Kamalaksha Nishevida. So, Kamala Aksha. Kamala means lotus. Aksha means eyes. Yeah. Nishevida, worshipped. So, she who is worshipped by Vishnu. She in whom Vishnu also takes refuge. So Vishnu also prays to Devi. That is what this refers to. Vishnu's prayer also happens to Devi. Now, we say that, in the Padma Purana, Vishnu attained his own status by worshipping the sapphire colored Devi. Vishnu has three Shaktis or three Devis. One is Sri Devi, the other is Bhudevi, and the third is Nila Devi. These are the three Devis. So, Sri Devi, Bhudevi, and Nila Devi. Now, these three Devis stand for the three actions, which is Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. So, Nila Devi is a sapphire colored Devi, and Vishnu prays to Nila Devi, and therefore he is actually getting all the strength from Nila Devi, which is from the Jnana perspective. So that is the way Vishnu prays to or gets his Shakti or expresses his refuge in Devi. So that is what this is referred to, which is Kamalaksha Nishevidaye Namaha. 559. Tambula Purita Mukhi or Tambula Purita Mukhyai Namaha. Tambula Purita Mukhyai Namaha. Tambula Purita Mukhi. She whose mouth is full from chewing betel. Tambula means betel leaf. Tambula refers to tambulam. I mean, if you remember what happens where you offer tambulam, which is a way of expressing, I'd say, royalty. When you have, after you have food generally, you say that you offer this tambulam. Generally that doesn't happen in the average small families. It happens only in bigger families where, or you could say bigger, we call them tarvadas, all those things where you sit around and you pass around the betel leaf, and they say that you don't stop with that. You sit around and gossip. You have this betel leaf and then you sit around and do a lot of gossip. Generally when the tambulam is also accompanied by gossip. So Tambula Purita Mukhi is what she is referred to. So she whose mouth is full from chewing betel leaf. So when you chew betel leaf, what happens? The lips, everything becomes red. So she likes chewing betel leaves, and that chewing of betel leaves gives her that red color. The red color is the color of compassion. Devi is full of compassion. So a mouth with tambulam signifies also sweet speech. Sweet speech is signified for a mouthful of tambulam, and Devi's word is law. Devi's word is not just sweet speech, it is ultimately law. Yeah, so the red lips of Devi are referred to here, and this is when you chew this tambulam, like I said, it is a sign of royalty, luxury, and hospitality. So tambulam is generally a sign of very good hospitality as well. So Tambula Purita Mukhi or Tambula Purita Mukhyai Namaha. 560. Dadimi Kusuma Prabha. Dadimi Kusuma Prabha. Dadimi Kusuma Prabhayai Namaha. So Dadimi Kusuma Prabha basically is referring to, Dadimi is the pomegranate, Kusuma is the flower, Prabha means radiance or glow. So she who shines like a pomegranate flower. She shines like a pomegranate flower. So there is a particular shade of red which this pomegranate flower has. So when Devi shines in that exotic color of red. So this Dadimi Kusuma, the pomegranate flower, is considered to be one of the most exotic flowers that can be offered to Devi as part of puja. So Devi's complexion is extraordinarily attractive. So that is what this refers to, the complexion of Devi, which is a shade of red, a particular or a special shade of red, which is similar to that of the Dadimi Kusuma. Just like that, her shade is extremely a shade of red, and therefore she is called as Dadimi Kusuma Prabhaye Namaha. 561. Mrigakshyai Namaha or Mrigakshi. We have covered this name. Mriga refers to deer. In this case, Mriga, even though it is the animal, but in this particular case, Mriga Akshi. Akshi means eyes. So she's got eyes that are long and beautiful like those of a doe. How beautifully this has been explained. We can think of the extreme beauty of Devi. Devi is got, in fact, we have the earlier, one of the earlier names which was Barbaralaka, referring to the flowing hair of Devi, curly flowing hair of Devi. Then here talking about her eyes, you're talking about the way her lips are red because of chewing the betel leaves. It's a very heavenly beauty that we are talking about here. Lalitha Tripura Sundari, extremely heavenly beauty. And just by thinking of that esoteric beauty of Devi, I think that itself will allow us to move to a state of complete bliss. Mrigakshi, she whose eyes are long and beautiful like that of a doe. The next one is even more beautiful, 562, which is Om Mohinyai Namaha. Om Mohinyai Namaha. So the name is Mohini. Mohini, which means that she who is enchanting. She is Mohini. Now, Devi enchants everyone with her beauty, and by virtue of her beauty, she makes everybody do what she tells. So that beauty is what forces people to listen to her. So that is what is being implied in this. Now, what is being said is that, O beautiful one, the whole world is enchanted with thee, and thy name shall be the enchanting one or Mohini. So that is what this is being referred to in this particular name. Now, the story of Mohini, there are several references to Mohini. Brahma sat in meditation. Shakti appeared in front of Brahma as Prakriti, capable of fulfilling the wishes of the gods. So that is the first appearance of Mohini. That is when Mohini appears for the first time. Then the second was the churning of the ocean of milk. When the ocean of milk was churned, Vishnu appeared, meditated on the form of Mohini and assumed her form. Vishnu assumed the form of Mohini. She appeared before the gods and demons, and they were all fighting for the Amrit or the ambrosia, and generated by the churning of the ocean. So the demons thought it best to entrust her with the jar of ambrosia for serving everyone fairly. They thought that Mohini will give it to everyone in a fair way. She sat down with the condition that all of them should remain with the eyes closed while she served, and that she would marry the last one to open his eyes. So that was the condition that she said. So any order from Mohini was acceptable because she was the most beautiful one. So therefore they said that okay, we will accept it. So everyone sat with their eyes closed. Mohini served the ambrosia to all the gods. The demons waited. They were afraid to open the eyes, because if you open your eyes, that's it. You will not get that thing. After a while, Rahu opened his eyes and saw that she had already served the Devas, and Vishnu killed him by severing his head with his chakra, cutting him into two parts. So this is the basic story, a little bit of an extract of the story of Mohini. So she was the most enchanting one, the most beautiful one in that particular role as Mohini. Next one, 563, Mukhya. Mukhya is she who is the first one, which is Mukhyayai Namaha. When it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam, Om Mukhyayai Namaha. So that is what this refers to here. And she who is the first one, she is, this is very similar to the earlier name, which is Agraganya. Very similar to the name which is Agraganya. So Devi is the first, she is the first prana, and she is the first creative life force. Yeah, so that is what this is being referred to. We have already explained that she is Agraganya. She is the preeminent one. So that is what this refers to. She is Mukhya, most important one, or the first one. 564, Mridani or Mridanyai Namaha. Om Mridanyai Namaha. So she who is the wife of Mrida. She is the wife of Mrida. Mrida is another name for Lord Shiva. Another name for Lord Shiva. Now, who is Mrida? Mrida, even though it is Lord Shiva, that Mrida is Shiva's predominantly sattvic aspect. Shiva is Mrida's predominantly sattvic aspect. So, and Mrida is the giver of happiness. Shiva is Shipra Prasadi, he is also Shipra Gobi. In Mrida, in the form of Mrida, he is the giver of happiness. So, Devi is not only the wife of Mrida, but she herself is the giver of happiness to everyone. So, that is the name Mridanyai Namaha. 565. Mitra Rupinyai Namaha. Om Mitra Rupinyai Namaha. She who is the friend of everyone, the friend of the universe. Mitra Rupinyai Namaha. Now, I will have to take you to the first name in Surya Namaskar. The first name in Surya Namaskar is Om Mitrayai Namaha. So, she is the sun or a friend of the sun. Mitra means sun, and she has the splendor, Devi has the splendor of 1,000,000 suns. Now, if you go through this aspect, this talks of Devi shining as 12 different suns. Devi shines as 12 different suns. You go through the Surya Namaskar. How many steps are there in Surya Namaskar? There are 12 steps. The actual Surya Namaskar covers 12 steps. And what those 12 steps are 12 different names of the sun. Om Mitraya Namaha, Om Ravaye Namaha, Om Suryaya Namaha, Om Banave Namaha, Om Khagaya Namaha, Om Pushne Namaha, Om Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha, Om Adityaya Namaha, Om Savitre Namaha, Om Arkaya Namaha, Om Bhaskaraya Namaha. These are the 12 names of the sun. And Devi shines as these 12 different suns. She shines as the 12 different suns during the 12 months. So you see where it all falls and comes together. Yoga, Lalitha Sahasranamam, everything is all coming together. Everything is coming together. Devi is not just present as Devi, she is present as the sun as well. Even in the yoga classes, we talk about the chakra. We talk about what our external, instructor, Sumanji came and he explained about cleansing of the chakras. If you remember the cleansing of the chakras, he talked about removing the knots and tying the knots at the top. Removing the knots and tying the knots at the top. Which were those knots? Those knots were the Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi and the Rudra Grandhi, which we were tying, cleansing and refixing at the top. All these things were there. Obviously, he could not talk about it because that goes into Shaktiism, which you cannot bring into a normal class, which we normally have, which is more of a secular kind of a class. So, therefore, he did not go down that route. So, this is something that we should remember, that in the entire lot of what we are doing, there is a lot of Sanatana Dharma intertwined into it, and we are obviously talking about what we can talk about when we go into the class. So, that is something that we should remember, that It is all completely interconnected. So Mitra Rupinyai Namaha. 566. Nitya Triptayai Namaha. Nitya Triptayai Namaha. Nitya. Nitya means forever or always or eternally. Tripta. Tripta means contented. She is always content. She is contentment. She is Devi herself is contentment. An eternal contentment. When does that happen? When we go through moksha and we achieve a state of liberation, bliss. When that state is achieved, that is the state when we are completely contented. How will we achieve that state of bliss? We will achieve that state of bliss only when we realize Devi. And therefore, Devi herself is that state of bliss, and she is the state of contentment. She is a state of Nitya Tripta. Devi is liberation itself. Absence of desire is ultimate happiness. Absence of desire is ultimate happiness, and that state of happiness is liberation. So, Nitya Tripta refers to somebody who is constantly in that state, constantly in the state of ultimate happiness. 567. Bhakta Nidhi. Bhakta Nidhi. 567. Om Bhakta Nidhaye Namaha. Bhakta Nidhaye Namaha. Bhakta Nidhi is the name. She who is a treasure of the devotees. Bhakta Nidhi. Nidhi means treasure. Yeah. So she who is a treasure of the devotees. So treasure is something that fulfills our dharmic desires. It's not that you can't have desires. You can have dharmic desires. She treasure fulfills our dharmic desires, something that is obtained unexpectedly and gives great pleasure. It's like winning that millionaire duty free. Yeah. Something you get unexpectedly. Yeah. And from that you draw extreme pleasure. To the devotee, what is the biggest pleasure that one can get? That is the darshan of Devi. Devi Lalitha Tripura Sundari's darshan is probably the biggest gift or the biggest treasure that one can get. Once you get that, you don't need anything more. So the treasure is that which one guards from being lost. So it is like a state of, you are going through a state of self-hypnosis. If you decide that you're going to sit in a state of meditation, go into a state of self-hypnosis, start looking inwards. The more you start looking inwards, you will reach a stage where you don't want to open your eyes and break that spell of self-hypnosis. That state, that ultimate state where you have reached, you don't want to come back from that state. That is a state of extreme happiness. That is the treasure which one can have. And that treasure, you can go through the treasure and enjoy that treasure. Suppose you're going go to Guruvayur, for instance. You're going to Guruvayur. You've reached Guruvayur. The darshan of Guruvayur is happening the minute you stand there and you walk those probably 30 seconds you walk. Once you have entered the Garbhagriha, those 30 seconds that you walk inside is the time when you can actually see Lord Guruvayurappan. That is the time when you can see Lord Guruvayurappan. And that image of Lord Guruvayurappan stays with you. That is something that you treasure close to you. You're going to Tirupati and you see Tirupati Balaji out there. You are going in front of the Tirupati Balaji. As you're going there, you see the huge, wonderful form of Lord Tirupati Balaji. When you see that, you keep going that, and you're standing in front of Tirupati Balaji for a second. It's only a second that you get bang in front of Tirupati Balaji. That image you hold. That is something that you will treasure. You don't want to come out and then start talking about this prasadam and this thing and that thing. No, that's not of interest to you. For a spiritual aspirant, what is of interest is that moment of darshan, when you get that darshan and you hold that darshan close in your heart and you keep it close to you. So that is what is going to keep you going for the next X number of days, weeks, months, whatever. So she who is the treasure of the devotees, Bhakta Nidhi. Next one is Niyantri. Niyantri, she who controls and guides all beings on the right path. she who controls and guides all beings on the right path. So she is the person who takes control. She is the supreme ruler. She is the universal director. What does she do? She is the controller, ultimate controller, who maintains cosmic order, the law of nature and karmic balance. And she guides all aspects of intellect, thought and action. Now, suppose you have a huge fire and Agni is coming and taking over the fire, taking over the entire area is being burnt. But the small blade of grass, that cannot be devoured by Agni. That small blade of grass cannot be devoured. Even Vayu, which is air and comes and blows, it will not be able to uproot that grass. That grass is not going to be uprooted. So the burning power of fire and the moving power of air are nothing but Maya. Brahman's Maya. So you think that you have the power, but that power is nothing when it comes to the actual situation. So everything is under the control of Maya. So Devi is ultimately the lawmaker who is responsible for creating, sustaining and the dissolution. So she's got three aspects that she controls. So that's why she's called as Niyantri. 569 Nikhileshwaryai Namaha or Nikhileshwari. Nikhila means whole or all. And Ishwari is Devi. So she who is the ruler of all aspects. She is the ruler of all aspects. What are the aspects? She is the ruler of everything, living and non-living. She is supreme. She is the power behind all aspects, and there is nothing that is outside her realm of influence. Everything is in her realm of influence. That is Nikhileshwari. 570 Maitriyadi Vasana Labhyayai Namaha. So Maitreya means is friendly. Adi means etc. Vasana, which means tendencies. Labhya, it cannot be attained by spiritual practices. Now, this goes back to what we are referring to, which is the spiritual practices versus practicing spirituality. Two different things. Spiritual practices is engaging in pujas, engaging in this, engaging in yagas. All those things are very important, fine, no problem. But in order to make those things work, you should practice spirituality, practice spiritual living, which is probably more important than spiritual practices. So getting into the concept of doing all these habits is not actually going to help. What is really going to help is living a life in the right way, which is in the form of practicing spirituality. So there are four types of vasanas which are being referred to here. One is Maitri, which is friendship, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, rejoicing, and Upeksha, which is indifference. So in the Bhagavata Purana, there is a reference to this. What it says is that we should cultivate friendship of the happy, show compassion towards miserable, rejoice with the virtuous, take pleasure in association with the virtuous, and show indifference to the sinful. So this is exactly practicing spirituality, which is being referred to here, which are the four types of how to live, which is cultivate friendship of the happy, show compassion towards the miserable, rejoice with the virtuous, and show indifference to the sinful. This is the way to live and practice spirituality. So, in those devotees in whom the vasanas take root, easily attain Devi's grace. Yeah. So, if you are able to follow this, then this aspect of ensuring Maitra, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha, then you can be sure, ensure that if you do all these, what is that, practicing spirituality, Devi will be there at your beck and call. Patanjali, this is actually drawn from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra also. It indicates that undisturbed calmness of mind is attained by cultivating these four very same vasanas. Today in the class we spoke about Santosha, exactly the same thing, which is the second of the niyamas. we spoke about second of the niyamas, which is the concept of contentment, santosha or contentment, and how we need to learn to be contented with what we have. So this is basically leading to the same concept, nothing else. It's leading to the same concept. Patanjali has also talked about it. They've talked about it in a different context, in a different way, but ultimately it leads to the same concept of ensuring that you have to be content as well in what you do. Maitriyadi Vasana Labhyaye Nama. She who is attained by love and other good dispositions. So, Santosha is one way of expressing your happiness. Stay happy, stay contented. Don't compare notes. Compare notes with yourselves. Yesterday's you versus today's you. Don't compare with the next door neighbor's notes versus your notes, because you don't know what those people have gone through. That is number one. Or what his method of trying to reach where he is reached. You don't know that. All you know is the way you have gone about it. So you compare your yesterday versus your today. So that is a right comparison rather than comparing that person. So like we had this conversation also, we were talking about it. So you decide that you want to buy, the next door neighbor has bought a Toyota Camry. So because he's bought a Toyota Camry, you say, no, I also need a Toyota Camry. You go and you buy a Toyota Camry, and the Toyota Camry, you pull your Toyota Camry, comes into your garage and it is standing there. That person has upgraded from Toyota Camry to a BMW. Finished. He's bought a BMW. You are comparing his Toyota Camry to your car that you had. When you decided that you want to bring your Toyota Camry into your home, he's already gone ahead and maybe he's bought a BMW, maybe he's bought a plane, who knows. So comparing is not necessarily the right way of doing forward as well, and it is important that we practice spirituality. So ensure that these vasanas we try and include into our daily thought process, so that we are able to become better souls and get closer and closer to Lalitha Tripura Sundari Devi. I offer these words at the lotus feet of Lalitha Tripura Sundari Devi. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Karacharana Kridam va Kayajam Karmajam va Shravananayana va Manasam va Paradam Vihidam avihidam va Sarvamedakshamasva. Jaya Jaya Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.